Hello world, and welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. As promised, today I'm going to be setting up a shaker window at the front of my bullet journal. I decided to do this because there's always that first page of a bullet journal that's awkward and doesn't open all the way because it has a little bit of glue, so it's sort of stuck to the end page. And so in my first bullet journal of 2020, I did a shaker window, but I didn't film it because I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. It turned out great. This one also turned out great. I absolutely love it. Be sure to check the description and the cards for the video tutorial that I used to do this. It's super helpful and definitely better than my attempt. So you saw I put a piece of cardboard in between the pages so that I wouldn't cut through all of them. And I'm using a pen knife and a ruler to just cut through the paper. It's a lot easier than trying to use scissors, which is what I did for the first one. And the edges are pretty ragged here. They're much, much cleaner. So you can see just going around each side, I am cutting out the space where you would normally write in your name in the Archer and Olive, but I don't feel a need to have my name. I feel a need to have a shaker window. So you can see it's got hanging on by a couple of corners here, so just using the pen knife to go in and loosen that up, and ta-da, there's a little square. So now I'm going in with a pencil to outline on the second page where I need to cut out the second square. I did this by tracing through the first one so that it would line up more exactly. You could try and measure it, but that is a whole lot more work than I am interested in investing in a project like this. So, whatever works for you. This is the process that works for me. Repeating the trimming that I did on the first page, just cutting out with a pen knife very carefully. I tend to be very heavy-handed with pen knives like that, so wanted to be extra careful, and it worked out great. And now I am going in with some adhesive. This is the Tombow Mono adhesive tape. You could use double-sided tape, you could use glue, whatever you're most comfortable with. This is what I had that was going to be easiest for me. So I'm going right up against the edge of that cutout as close as I can get it. And I did screw up a little bit, so handy tip, if you are using the Tombow Mono adhesive or something similar that is an adhesive roller, you can actually go in with your finger and just rub off the adhesive and it comes off, at least with the Tombow one. I'm not totally confident in other ones. And this is the window part of this. I am using, it's not acetate. That's what the video that I watched initially, that's what she used. I think my craft store had like an alternative to acetate that's more environmentally friendly. I will try and include that information in the description. I will include everything down in the description, including these adorable little sparkly stars that I bought off of Etsy. And these are both the stars that I bought from the seller on Etsy, as well as a few little samples that they sent me, which worked out perfectly with my color scheme. So anyway, that was a sidetrack. You want to use something that's clear and a little bit rigid for a shaker window like this. I'll leave it linked in the description. Hopefully that will be helpful. And that was me trying to put down more adhesive tape and then jostling the page, and my sparkles went flying everywhere. Yay! Once again, getting it up as close to the edge as I possibly can, and then putting down the second sheet. So it sandwiches the sequin sparkles in between it, and then you paste the pages together to create the window. So on that first page, repeating the process with the adhesive. I'm using the mono adhesive because it's easier for me to get a clean line. And then I'm going in on the rest of the page with just a straight glue stick, as you can see. Another handy tip, if you're going to do this, go like I just did with the first side and then immediately flip it over while the glue is still loose. so that you can get it nice and flat on both sides. If you've ever tried to glue 2 pages together in a book, you know that sometimes it gets a little wonky when you try and flip the page. So always get it pressed down on both sides while the glue is loose. Now I am going in to draw what the image that is going to be that you're going to be able to see through the window from the opening page of my journal. The GIF that I just included is the inspiration that I used for this. I was so nervous about this because landscapes, particularly cityscapes, are like way outside my comfort zone, but I gotta be honest, I absolutely love the way that this turned out. I kept everything in the color scheme that I was using for the rest of my journal setup. I just love it. I absolutely love it. There's something about a cityscape that just feels like home to me, which is bizarre. It's not like I grew up in a city or anything. I did not, but I just absolutely love it. So I'm just going in. It's pretty simplistic, honestly. It's a lot of boxes with smaller boxes inside them, some squiggles to represent trees and some lines and dots, but all of the elements together combine to give the impression of a city skyscape, and I just absolutely adore it. I wanted to do this part after making the shaker window so that I could be sure I was getting a good view through the window. Which sounds really silly, but is also the most accurate statement there. And it works out really nicely. You can see it. So just doing a few more of these large rectangles. I know the perspective is a little wonky here. I'm not good at perspective, and instead of trying to do the perspective well, I just went ahead and did what was in the inspiration photo. Once again, that'll be linked down in the description along with everything else you could ever possibly want, including, fun reminder, links and information for how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement. Don't forget, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, I have run out of things to say. Oh no, we are here now. I did do a little bit of trees that you can see through. The squiggly lines are like the tree line, like the trees in a city, like a park or something. I'm completely losing cohesion here. I'm so sorry. It reminds me both of New York City, which is funny because I haven't been to New York City that many times. Like, I've been there, but not a whole lot. It's not even my favorite city. But with the layering of buildings and trees, there's something about it that really reminds me of Seoul, South Korea. Even though this doesn't look anything like Seoul. I don't know what it is. There's something about it that reminds me of that. And you can see I'm freehanding all of this. The lines are really messy. They're not perfectly straight, but that is in keeping with the look that I wanted to have here. You can see it's a nice little view from the window. I know the sparkles look a little bit strange because they don't move around a lot. It takes some time for them to loosen up and move, but I love the look. You could probably do a similar thing with just one sheet of acetate and not even sandwiching anything in between, like just a window. That would be neat too. But I gotta be extra and get my sparkles in there. Also, like, I wasn't using gold in this setup, so gotta use gold somewhere. Otherwise, who would I be? I am going in here with the colors that I used in the rest of my setup, like I said, to color in the buildings, keeping it really simple. Because I went with the same color palette, I think it fits in beautifully with the rest of the setup. And I'm doing a little bit of extra coloring on the sides of the building to give it just a touch more dimension. I wanted to be sure to do this because there is no perspective at all in my drawings. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Afterwards I went in and I colored in the trees, but that's it. That's everything. I hope you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!